Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
In Louisiana, the manhunt continues for the 2 remaining convicts that escaped a New Orleans jail, with one recording a plea for help and posting it on Instagram. In Washington, 3 sisters are found dead, and a massive manhunt is taking place to locate the suspect, which you're going to be shocked when we tell you who is suspected. And a New York City tourist is urinated on, cut with a saw, and forced to smoke crack. And KJ is going to tell you why. These stories and more led the headlines this week. Welcome to Crime Wire Weekly, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
Kelly Jennings, we're back, and look, we've got some wild stories coming your way today.
Seriously, just when you think, oh my God, things cannot get much worse.
Just when you think it was safe to go back in the water.
It's not.
It's not.
Look,
no. And we've got some stories about that today,
my
actually.
God. All right, so let's go start with these missing inmates that have escaped from the jail. So the search for the 2 remaining escaped inmates continues into day 19 as a viral video on social media surfaces of one of the inmates and sparks speculation. Multiple enforcement agencies ramped up their manhunt for Derek Groves and Antoine Massey, who I'm going to add, I call Twan.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like he needs to be called Twan.
Oh my God.
A recent Instagram post on the internet shows a man, allegedly Antoine Massey, venting his side of the story, although the video cannot be authenticated. Federal authorities are investigating this video. In the video, the man says he is, quote, one of the ones that was let out of OJC, end quote. He also sought help from rappers Meek Mill, Lil Wayne, and NBA Youngboy, as well as President Donald Trump. At one point, the man says, quote, who I was in the past is not who I am today, end quote, while denying allegations that he threatened a maintenance worker with a weapon and called the jail system corrupted, and referenced both OJC and St. Tammany Parish jails. 8 of the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Justice Center on May 16th have been captured. Authorities have also arrested 16 accomplices accused of aiding the escaped or hiding fugitives. Several of those individuals are now out on bond. Antoine Massey, who has a long history of escape attempts, including cutting off an ankle monitor and threatening a jail worker, is connected to the beginnings of the escape. Derek Groves, convicted in a 2018 double homicide, is the grandson of Kim Groves, whose assassination by a corrupt NOPD officer became a national scandal back in 1994. And both of these men are considered dangerous. Authorities have not released an official cost estimate, but experts say the total is mounting rapidly. State police, they say that 200 or more than 200 troopers, investigators, DPS officers, and support staff have been deployed statewide in the ongoing manhunt. The FBI, U.S. Marshal's Office, ATF, and NOPD are also assisting in this effort. A threat to society, there is no cost on that because we have to make sure people like yourself or anybody else, we keep the community safe, said Chief Reggie Rowe, who is a private security consultant with ties to the NOPD. And according to the Cantrell administration, a financial review of NOPD's involvement will not take place until the operation concludes. Despite the growing number of arrests, court records show that multiple alleged accomplices have already bonded out. That includes, I'm probably going to slay this, but V. Duck Gwynn, who was arrested in Baton Rouge last week after surveillance footage allegedly showed him paying for a hotel room used to hide an escaped inmate. James Scooter Randolph was also charged. Court records indicate both men were released on bond shortly after their arrests.
Couple things on this. First, I didn't realize that there was a connection, especially being the grandson of Kim Groves. Mm-hmm. That made big news. Interesting.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with, I'm sure, what he's been charged with, but interesting nonetheless. And the second thing here, I think that Twan, as you call him?
I call him Twan, because I've been saying online, Twan's going all the way, bro, even with the face tats.
Look, Twan screwed up when Twan did that Instagram post, because I have it through pretty good source that they've already searched the home and raided the home that he put that Instagram post out where
that
where
IP
he
address
filmed
is
that
going to
from.
kid you every time.
The IP address, and those videos have all kinds of hidden markings in them, locations, everything. So, man, you should have stayed off social media, Twan.
But he's gone now, so.
You don't want to credit anybody for an escape, but I guess he's been pretty slick so far. I think his days are numbered.
All right. Well, we're going to put a bet in here now, because I know Groves is laying low, but Twan, I think he got that dog in him. Hey, I want to add this. I want to. Hey, I want to add this real quick. I was on vacation with my kids recently, but I was still watching some videos, and this is all allegedly, of course, whatever I was watching. But supposedly, Antoine's life when he was younger, when he was little bitty, his bio dad was close with, I think, Lil Wayne's family. And supposedly Twan and one of Lil Wayne's sons kind of ran, not in the same crowds, but they knew one another. And that he watched his dad get assassinated in front of him. That his dad was killed, shot in the face right in front of him. Not that that makes any excuse for any of this. Antoine.
Oh,
Twan, bro.
It's horrible.
So he's lived a rough life from the get-go, and that's why I think he's gonna stick it out, but it's dangerous, is what I think.
Yeah, and it's it's shocking they've been on the run this long with technology as it is today. I mean, you have everything from face recognition to license plate readers and cameras everywhere, and yet these two have been managing to give the slip. Groves, there's nobody that's even reported laying eyes on him.
I think he's going to have a wig on somewhere dressed as a woman, because those eyebrows look like punk eyebrows in prison.
Oh, Lord.
I'm telling you.
Well, we'll keep you updated if that indeed happens. And we're going to go to Washington. Very serious story here. 3 missing sisters have been found dead days after they were reported missing while visiting their dad. Authorities are being accused of failing the sisters by not issuing an Amber Alert for them as cops launch a manhunt for their father, who is charged with kidnapping and killing them. Peyton, who is 9, Evelyn, who is 8, and Olivia, who is 5, were found dead on Monday night after cops swarmed Rock Island Campground. Now, this is about an hour outside of Wenatchee, Washington. I believe I got that pronunciation correct. The girls lived there with their mother. Cops are now searching for Travis Decker, who is 32. The girls were last seen on what was supposed to be a 3-hour custody visit on Friday. Now, Decker, who police say is homeless, didn't drop his daughters off at the end of the visit. That prompted their mother to report them missing that night. Washington State Patrol then issued an missing persons alert for the siblings after Decker was seen leaving with the girls. Cops decided not to send out an Amber Alert. Now, obviously, many people, I'm sure, are familiar with Amber Alerts. They are designed to warn of child abductions. When asked about this, the police said they thought it was a custody issue, and that's why they didn't release an Amber Alert. They were quoted as saying Amber Alerts involve more imminency, like we know something will happen, versus what we're dealing with over the weekend, which is more of an overdue child scenario. That from Police Sergeant Joe Eaton. Police are still searching for their father, Travis Decker, after his truck was found abandoned on Monday. Now, members of the public are lashing out against police for not doing more to alert people to this unfolding situation. Facebook, of course, lit up with comments. One of those comments, this isn't just heartbreaking, it's infuriating. Another one, these girls are gone because the system failed them. The police didn't take it seriously, and the court system let them down as well. And you can just imagine the comments there. It's unclear how the 3 girls died, but Decker has been charged with their murders. Cops warn members of the public not to approach Decker, a veteran who they believe is mentally unstable. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia were found dead at that campground after they were last seen on that custody visit with their dad. And just a quick timeline Friday, May 30th at 5 p.m., they were picked up at their mother's house by their dad, Travis Decker. At 9:45 p.m., Whitney Decker called the police to report her daughter missing. 4.5 hours later, a little over that. Saturday, May 31st, WPD issues an endangered missing persons alert. Monday, June 2nd, they find Decker's truck at 3:45 p.m. at a campground. 5 o'clock p.m., they search the area, and that's when they found the bodies of the 3 girls. Tuesday at 9:30 a.m., they notified the public of Decker. They issue all those, pictures and things of that nature to look for this guy. Decker's ex-wife, the girl's mom, previously shared that there were never any problems with their daughters visiting him in the past. It's the first time anything like this has ever happened. She said Travis has really struggled since he left the military, and his mental health has been hard sometimes. I think this is an effect on that. I don't personally think he's dangerous. That's pretty shocking to say. She added, I think he is impulsive and he loves his children very much. Of course, that was prior to those children being found dead. I can't imagine what I would be going through, but this is obviously every parent's nightmare. It's so disturbing to kill 3 children, much less your own children.
Well, yeah, and
hell isn't deep enough for somebody that would do that, in my opinion.
No. So to me, there's a lot of layers to this, and I know that people are jumping out and they're wanting to attack law enforcement. What I'm understanding, though, is, you can't just issue an Amber Alert without meeting certain criteria, and we've seen this in other child-related cases where they're like, why was there such a delay in doing the Amber Alert? Why was there such a delay? Well, you have to meet the criteria. And so when people call 911 and say, my child was not returned, you heard her with her own statement. I'm not, this is in no way blaming or pointing the finger. I'm just understanding from what I'm reading and hearing. But when she even said herself, I don't think that he's dangerous. She said it in her own words, the mom. So why would the police not believe her? She's calling and saying, he didn't return the kids. I don't think he's dangerous. I wouldn't expect that of him. It sounds to me that in a tone, she still cares for him, but he had a mental decline after the military, probably did not seek help. And I read somewhere else too that he had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and was known to not take his meds. So everything that's happening here seems to be like even the mom didn't think he was capable. The police did issue that, hey, there's these children, we're looking for them. But there was apparently a court order that said that he had the right to the visitation of the children. And like I was going to say, when people call 911 and say the child wasn't returned, that's just basically a custodial abduction is how we would, I guess, classify it on the call. But that doesn't show an imminence of that they're in danger, because he did have a right to the custody of the children at that time, and his phone was just going to voicemail. So again, this is horrific, and I'm not trying to armchair quarterback it. I'm just trying to understand it in the moment, and I can see why in the exact moment the Amber Alert was not issued. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And hindsight is 2020.
Yeah. You
look back on something, this should have been done. This is the way it was explained to me as it relates to Amber Alerts. And, you get these weather alerts all the time, tornado alerts, things like that. You get them so much if you live in an area where you see all kinds of weird weather.
Like us.
That most of the time you kind of ignore them. You might look outside and see if it looks dark outside, but human nature a lot of times is when you hear something over and over, you just tend to not take it as literal.
Right.
That is why the Amber Alert is so stringent, because what they're trying to avoid, and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, but what they're trying to avoid is the psychology of human beings to hear something over and over again and it stop having less meaning. Because as it is now, if you hear an Amber Alert, it's serious shit.
Yeah.
You look around you and everybody stops, all of us, and we look around. Do I see this car or do I see someone that looks like this? They're worried that it's going to lose some of its punch.
Well, it's desensitizing. Like kids that go missing that are old enough to take care of themselves. I'm not talking about small children. I'm talking about 17, 18, 19, whatever. And I call those children because I'm old. Usually they return within 24 hours. Usually they're back. And I don't mean small children.
Vast majority.
Vast majority of people that are reported missing return. So that's the issue here is that they're little.
Yes.
But again, what are the courts to do to when everyone says you weren't necessarily violent, clearly having some mental health problems, but to say that you're going to just jump to say you're going to hurt the children? But he was homeless.
Yeah.
And I can't understand how you could get visitation without a solid place with food and water and shelter.
I think that's why
confusing
it was
to me.
3 hours visitation,
Right.
and not full days. But look, there's one person at fault here, and that's the guy that did this.
Absolutely.
And my prayers, thoughts go out to everybody who knew and loved those children. It's just horrific.
That mama. Oh, I hope she is surrounded. All right, so let's go to New York now. A second cryptocurrency investor has been arrested and charged in connection with the alleged weeks-long torture of an Italian tourist in an upscale Manhattan apartment. William Duplessis was taken into custody on Tuesday in New York City and charged with kidnapping, assault, unlawful imprisonment, and criminal possession of a weapon. He's 32 years old, and he surrendered to police after his alleged co-conspirator and fellow cryptocurrency investor, John Woltz, was taken into custody last Friday. Their victim, a 28-year-old Italian tourist, reportedly escaped from the Manhattan apartment and ran to the nearest police officer he could find outside. Woltz, who's 37, was charged with 2 counts of second-degree assault and 1 charge each of kidnapping, imprisonment, and criminal possession of a firearm. The New York Police Department said in a statement that the 2 cryptocurrency investors are alleged to have been holding the Italian man captive in a Manhattan apartment while torturing him over the course of 2 weeks in an effort to get him to give up the password to his Bitcoin account. The victim was known to the 2 suspects and described their relationship as a business partnership gone sour. Over the course of 2 weeks, Woltz and Duplessis allegedly tortured their victim in a number of ways, including bounding him by the wrists, shocking him with electrical wires, cutting his leg with a saw, urinating on him, and pistol whipping him. On one occasion, the man reportedly told police his kidnappers dangled him by the feet from an 8-bedroom, 6-story apartment's top flight of stairs. On another occasion, the victim reportedly told police he was forced to smoke out of a crack pipe. New York City police said in a statement over the weekend that the victim alleged he had been routinely assaulted during the captivity before finally agreeing to give up his password.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
When the 2 men went to get his laptop, the victim was able to escape and run out of the apartment. The victim, who has not been identified, ran up to the traffic guard outside of the apartment and told him what happened, leading to a police response. A video taken by a bystander showed the victim was disheveled and shoeless when he approached the traffic cop begging for help. NYPD Chief John Chell said, quote, "The motive was over money. They knew each other. But under no circumstance in this world do you have the right to kidnap somebody." Investigators found a Polaroid the suspects allegedly took, which appeared to show the victim being tortured. Police also discovered cocaine, chicken wire, a saw, body armor, and ammunition inside the Manhattan townhome where the victim escaped, which Woltz was renting.
Unfreaking believable. And look, first of all, never, ever trust anyone outside of people you consider family to know your financial situation, because shit like this can happen. Apparently, these guys not only knew that this guy had a Bitcoin account, but they also knew, or I would suspect they knew, he had a substantial amount of money in that Bitcoin account, because you don't urinate on someone, cut them with a saw, and do all this other crazy shit to somebody that you don't even know. You want their Bitcoin password and you don't even know what kind of money they have in there.
Yeah. And
this guy was a tourist. So
but you know what? I'm reading into this a little more. I don't think that he was just a tourist. To me, this might have been, and I might be jumping here, but I think that they told him to come down in some way from Italy to them so they could get him. It's not by chance that he's from, listen, I do not think it's by chance that he's from another country and that he comes to Manhattan where he knows these guys. They just happen upon him and get him and take him. No freaking way.
Well, I'll tell you what I speculate, because you're really going out there now. I speculate that they met this guy at a bar. They all did some drinking. They were talking about Bitcoin and things like that. And this guy was mouthing off or maybe flexing that he has 200 million Bitcoin. And they were like, oh, shit. And they wanted that password. That is my speculation.
Well, maybe so, but
because
we don't have
the
enough
fact that
to know
he's
that.
labeled a tourist makes me think he was down here for something completely different, and the police have already determined that. And the moral to the story is don't tell anybody, especially that you just meet, that you have a bunch of money.
Yeah, and for the record, I am just piss poor.
Probably not
I
a
have
good idea.
nothing, and I live in a van down by the river.
Down by the river. I like it. All right, we're going to go to another state, Kelly.
Where?
The state of Indiana.
Indiana. I like it.
And actually, I've got a wild story that I know you're going to have some comments about. A mother has shot a convicted child molester when she allegedly walked in on him attempting to rape her 12-year-old daughter.
Get him, mama.
In a hotel room. This, according to multiple reports. The shooting happened in Indianapolis on Saturday at the Baymont Inn. The Indianapolis Metro Police Department confirmed that Bruce Pierce, who was 39, was critically injured in that shooting. The 12-year-old girl went with a family member to the hotel to find her mom. They found her mother at the hotel with Pierce. The mom then temporarily leaves her daughter alone in the hotel room with Pierce while she carried some items out to her vehicle. When the mother returned, she found Pierce on top of her daughter, and he was in the process of taking her clothes off. He also had a gun in her hand. The girl's mother shouted at Pierce to stop, pulled out her own gun, and shot him. The mom and daughter then ran from the hotel. They drove away. Then they called the police and returned back to the scene. Pierce was taken to the hospital in critical condition while a warrant was issued for his arrest. Now, an online court case summary filed by the state of Indiana showed Pierce was facing multiple charges, including attempted rape, attempted child molestation, unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, and confinement of a victim under 14 years old. Pierce is listed on the Marion County Sheriff's Office Sex Offender Registry. He was registered in 2019 and is considered the level of a sexually violent predator. The registry showed he was previously convicted of 2 child molestation cases in 2016 and sentenced to several years in prison. There's no word yet if the 12-year-old's mother will face any charges in the case.
All right. Well, people may not like what I have to say, but I don't care, because in this case, the mother in me laying eyes on the photo of this guy is all I need to know as a mother. And I want to give y'all a picture here if you haven't seen this in the news. This guy, and I'm not saying face tats mean you're a bad person, so get out of here with that, okay? Love one another. But this guy right here has face tats above his eyebrows. He's got a freaking teardrop tattoo under his eye.
What does a teardrop mean?
So that's, well, if you believe it, that's a murder. You know, you're claiming body. It's your body count. And then his neck is tattooed from under the chin down to his chest. He does not look like anyone. And I know that people are going, you're being so judgmental. You damn right. It's my job as a mother to be judgmental. And looking at this guy, there's no way in hell I would leave my child, especially, I don't feel like she obviously knew him very well. He's already, from what you've said, sounds like he's a tier 3 sex offender. And you don't know him well enough. The hotel, too, I saw a picture of it. It looks pretty seedy. So while this sounds super judgmental, it is. I'm glad mom was able to bust the cap in him and get him off her kid. But I think poor decision making led to this whole situation to be what it is.
Right. Look, I looked everywhere. Can't figure out why the mom was hanging out with him. I don't know. There's something going on there, but Kelly's right. And look, I know guys that have face tattoos that are great guys.
Jelly roll.
Country? Yeah.
Jelly roll.
I mean, awesome dude. He has even what almost looks like devil horns.
It does.
Tattooed on his head. That's what it reminds me of. The picture's not clear enough really to tell exactly what it is. But we need to maybe do a Facebook for this podcast, and we can show pictures of the stuff we talk about on the podcast, but Google it. You'll find him.
All right, now we're going to go down under for this one.
Down under?
Down under.
We got listeners down under.
I know we do. All right, an Australian woman is accused of killing her ex-in-laws and a third family member by poisoning them after inviting them for lunch. Hey everyone, Crime Wire Weekly has moved to its own new channel.
We hope you've enjoyed this preview. To continue listening, please follow the link referenced in the description of this podcast.
Or simply search Crime Wire Weekly wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to follow the show so you can be alerted when new episodes drop.
Thanks for listening.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.